Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. Oh, that's hot today again. You need to stop doing that. So, first up today, we have really one major piece of news that probably everybody has heard about, and if you haven't yet, you might be living under a rock. Sorry to break it to you that way, but and I'm sorry if Critical Role is not really your jam. It's a lot of people's jam, including mine, and so I got to run through all this real quick. So yesterday, Critical Role at noon Eastern time put out their state of the role, announcing their third campaign with a lot of different information that is going with it. There are a lot of people saying that, like, oh, this could have been an email. They haven't had a state of the role that's been more than like 15 minutes, I don't think. So this really is about on par for what we should have been expecting for that. But some of the details that they gave us. They are going to continue pre-recording their episodes for the safety of the cast and crew, which makes sense. Gives them a little bit more flexibility to work with as well, because if they're planning on recording on, a Wednesday and something comes up, then they can just push the game till Thursday and then come back in then. They're going to be taking the last Thursday of every single month off as a mental health break, as a, catch up on stuff break for cast, crew, and for the fans out there, because obviously 4 hours every single week can be a lot of content to consume, and so having an extra week to catch yourself back up is going to be good. Also, it'll hopefully keep Matt and everybody else from getting burnt out, because honestly, they spend so much time in this, especially Matt, so it's probably good to give them a little bit of a break there. They're not necessarily going to be off air. They are just not going to be streaming a new episode of the campaign. And so that could be Laura and Liam are going to be in playing Elder Scrolls Online, which is what they've been doing, or which is something that they've been doing recently a lot. But that gives everybody else that is involved in the main cast there a break, as well as a lot of the crew, because you don't need as many active crew to record 2 people playing a game on a computer as you do to record 8 people playing D&D in a room. They're also going to be getting rid of the art reel at the top and mid roll of the show. They're still going to have fan art galleries that they're going to be posting, but they will not be put directly in the stream, which is unfortunate, but also it does make sense with their new, not even necessarily new, but with their now more standardized copyright use, fair use, I don't know exactly what it's called. With their new policy surrounding their IP, it does make sense that they're going to be doing that. It is unfortunate, but the galleries are still going to be out there for you to find if you want to find them. They are going to be having an after show come back for this show in early 2022. Maybe not necessarily like January, but sometime in 2022. They did not call it talks. They are almost definitely going to be having a different host, because Brian W. Foster is off doing his own thing right now. We wish him the best in that, obviously. He's a phenomenal human being. This is the part where, personally, I think that it'd be great to just, push Mika Burton into it, because it gives her another foot in the door with this whole crew. People love Mika, and it wouldn't interrupt her schedules too terribly much, because honestly they'll probably do an every other week thing as well, like they were doing for the end of campaign 2 with talks. They gave us a spoiler video, or teaser spoiler video, of their new set, where it looks like they are going to have they're going to be all around the same table again. That is what I'm trying to say. They have been working seemingly very hard on putting together a new set for everybody. We are supposed to be looking for a full behind-the-scenes video in a couple of weeks here. So stay tuned for that. It looks like there are up to 10 chairs around this table, which would be crazy. That's a lot of people. Also, pretty soon they're going to be doing a deep dive history video soon, which is cool. That'll help you get caught up on the history of Exandria if you are either new or need a refresher. They are also talking about having other storytellers come in for this campaign. What that exactly means, we don't necessarily know. if you want my best guess, I'd say that they're going to have the core cast, the one that's been there from the beginning, be the main focus of this, but then have longer running recurring characters come in, played by guests, and maybe even have little segments of the game swapped out and run by other people, like Abria, maybe. They are it. They have said a few times in that video that they are excited about this. I think it's a cool concept. I think it could work really well, particularly with a world as well fleshed out and robust as Exandria. The actual pilot for Campaign 3 is coming on October 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark your calendars. They're also having a major box office event for this release, which, honestly, if you're watching this video and you haven't gotten tickets for it yet, they're probably sold out already. They're only streaming to like 20 different Cinemark theaters across the United States. So check to see if there's one near you and check to see if you can get tickets. But people who were buying tickets right after watching the State of the Roll address were not really able to get them. So be cautious in your, hopefulness with that. But be excited about it. That is coming so soon. That's 3 weeks from now. That's 3 weeks from now. I don't know if they're going to start the first Thursday off, or last Thursday off in October, so that we'll have the pilot and then 2 weeks till the next episode. I don't see why they wouldn't, just to, start with consistency. But also, they might say, you know what, no, we're just going to steamroll through it, give them 4 to 5 weeks straight, and then take our first week off. Honestly, either way is fine with me. I love getting more content from them, but also they are human beings and they really should get breaks, every once in a while. That is it for major news that I have been able to find. Honestly, I do not really have any streams for you guys either. Again, as always, if you are looking for D&D over the weekend, you can go ahead and just go to twitch.tv and search up D&D, and you'll be able to look for anything in the Dungeons and Dragons category that will hopefully be able to give you something to watch that is going to be some kind of stream from someone somewhere. I did run the numbers. If you were one of the people that wanted to start rewatching Critical Role before the new one came out, this is a little bit of a shortened timeline, so you are not going. You wouldn't be able to fit both of them in there. I was kind of expecting this to be more like a November, December, maybe even next year release. But if you are one of the people that really wants to watch Critical Role again or listen to Critical Role again before the next campaign comes out, I have some interesting numbers for you. It is going to take you over 19 days straight of watching it on normal speed to get through Campaign 1. That was an estimate, too. It's probably more like 20-ish, 21-ish. And for Campaign 2, it's going to take you a total of 24 days to get all the way through it. So you would not be able to watch Campaign 2 on normal speed from now until then if you never stopped playing it. So you're going to have to speed it up if you really want to do that. But if not, go find some other random streams online to watch or catch up on some of your favorite streams. If you know of any streams, please let me know, because I think I'm going to try and actively build out like a calendar almost, so that we can, have a more centralized location for all these things. And that way, I don't have to go scrambling through the internet every single week to try and find stuff. But that is it for news and for streams. That is all I have for you today on that. Today on T&D, we have this mug. I've shown it a little bit on camera before. It's a black mug. It's got this craggly tree on there. And then on the other side, it says, "Help, it's again," which is another Caduceus Clay reference. I figured that having another Critical Role theme mug would be appropriate for today, based on the huge news that we got yesterday from them. T today is a oh boy, what is it? It is licorice root, slippery elm bark, maple bark, I want to say, and orange peel. It's used a lot by singers, actors, that sort of thing, to help their throat. I just really like it because I really like the taste of licorice, which I know is a not always super common thought to have, or preference to have. But I really like it. So that is what I have for T&D today. Moving forward into our actual topic for the day, this also is kind of critical role related, but it is also not necessarily exactly critical role related because it existed before Critical Role did. I want to talk about weapons of legacy, legacy weapons, that sort of thing today. I know that this is a concept that was originally brought in, or not originally brought in, I don't think, but that was last published in 3.5, and there are a lot of people out there who really, really like this idea. It was brought to the forefront of like modern D&D media by Critical Role, which is why it's Critical Role adjacent, in the vestiges of divergence that are these weapons of legacy, items of legacy that Matt has scattered throughout his world. They are this type of evolving item that grows with a player as they progress through their character's story and through the campaign that the Dungeon Master has set forth for them. I do not know if Matt played a lot of 3.5 and ported this over, or if he had this idea and it just happened to be something that lined up really well. But it is something that Matt has also done, and again, it is what has sort of brought it to the forefront of the 5th edition thought process, at least. I'm going to go through one of the vestiges of divergence at the end of this so that we can sort of see what I'm talking about a little bit more in depth when we get there. But first, let's talk about what they actually are, right? I mentioned that they are evolving magic items. They are items that solve the issue, essentially, of magic items in D&D. And when I say that, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? Because what issue do magic items have in D&D? Everybody loves magic items. Why would there be an issue with them? Well, the thing is, power scaling in 5th edition means that you are leaving a lot of things behind as you go forward in the game. Something that is super useful to you at level 4 is no longer super useful to you at level 14, necessarily. I'm not saying it's not, but most of the time, it's just not going to be the same. Similarly, a +1 longsword at level 4 is going to be a phenomenally powerful magic item for you. A +1 longsword at level 14 is suddenly not nearly as good for you anymore, just because the power scale that you are on is totally different. So these items help sort of remedy that issue that a lot of people end up having, and it helps move you forward from just giving players either fresh magic items or piles of gold in order to like give them stuff that could actually be useful to them, right? Plus it helps them build a more personal connection with a magic item, and it helps them almost like brand themselves a little bit in a way, because they are suddenly this character with this thing, and this thing is their like go-to item, their go-to signature weapon, whatever you want to call it, in that sort of sphere. So how do these things evolve, right? These items are connected to either quest markers, they have to be powered up through rituals, or they are tied to character advancement, as a few different examples. My personal favorite, obviously, is the character advancement one. And when I say character advancement, I mean like personal character growth. Not necessarily like, oh, you hit level 12, here you go, your thing, you gotta level up too. I'm talking about when characters and players engage heavily in roleplay, they go through personal character development. That is when you are getting this sort of like boost in power in your favorite item that you have, right? It really helps like motivate players to stay engaged with the story and stay engaged with their character and really sort of dig in and buy into it, which sometimes is the hardest part for particularly new players in like a role play sort of sense. And with the direction that 5th edition has gone, so many tables are encouraging heavy role play. And so being able to really sort of push that with an actual in-game mechanical reward other than just like a pat on the back and a little bit of round of applause, maybe like inspiration if that's something you use at your table. Being able to do that, I think, is phenomenal. Now, if you do use the character advancement method for evolving these weapons or items, you do need to be conscious of the fact that sometimes your plans are going to have to change as a DM. Sometimes things will go sideways for you, and you're going to have to like shift the way that you're doing things, right? This is one of my favorite things. I ripped it directly from Matt before I learned that they are also this thing from 3.5 to put into my home game, and I found out that I have found that while I had an original set of things, that set of milestones that I thought that my players were going to hit in order to level up, power up, whatever you want to call it, their weapons of legacy, several of them have taken wildly different paths than I expected. So I have had to update and change that sort of expectation in order to better fit what story they are actually playing in. Because ultimately, you're not trying to railroad them into making a choice, but they still need to make certain character development, character advancement choices, right? So, that is sort of a general overview of what they are. So let's go ahead and let's talk about building one of these, huh? So, building one of these items. The first thing you need to do is you need to determine how many different stages you want to have of this item, right? All of the Vestiges of Divergence have 3 different stages, depending on when the characters pick them up. They might be in a different one of those stages or from another one, but you want to have a number of stages that you determine. That obviously has a bare minimum of 2, and it can go up to really as many as you want. Wouldn't go past 20, just because then you're giving it to them at level 1, and they're gaining power in it before every single level up. Average is about 3, I think. 3 or 4 is a solid number to sit at in order to like make your life a little bit easier. So you determine the number of levels, evolutions, stuff, whatever you want to call it. You also want to determine the player level that they are getting it at, right? Again, if you want to give it to them at level 1, that's great, but you're going to have it be a pretty much mundane item at the beginning and then power up as they go through. If you want to hand it to them at level 10 and have 2 different evolutions in it, at level 10, maybe they get the base form of it, that is the equivalent of, I don't know, like a rare item or something, and then when they hit 15-ish, about when you would expect that to happen, it powers up to become very rare, etc. So determining the player level that you want them to actually get the original thing at, and then being able to move forward with the advancement type in your head, like how they're going to be advancing that item. And then you need to determine your advancement type, like we talked about before. Is it quest markers? Is it rituals? Is it character advancement? Up to you. Because honestly, it could be just as easy as like, oh, you have to get this thing, take it to this place, and do this ritual with it. Or it could be like, oh, if this character has gone and made peace with their father or something, because it's major character growth at that point. Up to you as the DM for building that aspect of it. So we're going to go through a general guide here. This is a rough guide, like a very rough guide. It's very loose, but it is obviously a guide to help you out a little bit. So if we have a 3-step magic item here, the general guide that I have found, the thing that I have found works the best, is that, and assuming you get it to them at a mid-level and you expect it to go to a high-level kind of play, right? You give them a magic item that is somewhere in the mixture of rarity of like rare-ish. Could go down to uncommon, could go up to very rare if you're giving it to them at like level 10. These things, the things that I associate with that first step are a bump to whatever score, so like a +1, and a minor to moderate magical effect on it, right? Um, so something that it gives you a magical effect that is more than just the static bump, but it could be small, could be medium sized. Kind of depends. Bumping up from there, you go to the very rare-ish range. Again, could go down to rare, could go up to legendary at this point, depending upon whereabouts you are in the game that you are playing. Here, your static score bumps to a 2 or +2, and you pick up either another minor or moderate effect from like your magic effects table that is in a couple of different books. If you have only got a minor effect from the first step and you are trying to get to a more or to a higher power level, I would recommend putting in a moderate to potentially even major effect here. Going forward, you're on your final step here. Your rarity is going to be in the legendary range. Could go down to very rare. Could go up to artifact. Now, it's important to note that all of these items are going to be artifacts no matter what, because that's just how they are. But we're talking about the power scaling of it. An artifact can be something super simple or something crazy powerful. It just is a label for it. So here your bonus goes to a +3, more than likely, and you pick up another major effect, potentially another minor or moderate effect as well. And that is a rough general guide for how to put one of these things together. You should definitely be using other magic items that are at a similar rarity level for inspiration for different enchantments that you want to put on it. And you should pick a theme for the item. That is one of the more important things, I think, to make sure that you have something that doesn't just feel like a random bonus to your character, your player character, so that they have something that they're actually leaning into as part of the theme. So we are going to go over the Titanstone Knuckles from the Tal'Dorei campaign guide. I know this book is really hard to get now. I got it when it was still widely available, so I am very fortunate to have done so, and it's one of my favorite books that I own. In part because of that, but also because I just really like to go through this book. It's really well put together, too. But we're going to go through the Titanstone Knuckles. They are, if you don't want any spoilers at all for Campaign 1 of Critical Role, this is probably the time where you want to stop watching in some capacity. These are not the biggest spoilers, because I'm not going to give any story spoilers, but these are mechanical spoilers for one of the items in the game. So, the Titanstone Knuckles, in their base state, in their lowest state, they got them, I want to say, around level 11. The strength score of the creature that attunes to them becomes 22, and you gain the Siege property, which allows you to deal double damage against objects and structures. That is a medium and a minor effect. When they move forward into their next phase, your strength score goes up to 24, and you can use an action to grow in size as per the enlarge spell for 10 minutes, and you cannot use that ability again until you finish a long rest. That is bumping your bonus up, and then picking up what I would consider a moderate effect. Most spellcasting is going to be in the moderate area. I know enlarge isn't like the craziest spell, but when it's connected to a character that's based entirely on strength, and you grow in size, and you get that extra damage and everything like that, then suddenly it becomes a more robust effect. And then finally, going up to our final level here, your strength score becomes 26, and when you are under the effects of the enlarged spell granted by the item, you gain resistance to fire, cold, and lightning damage, and it lasts as long as you are affected by that spell. Again, moving your bonus up and then gaining resistance to damage. I would say that the resistance to damage is another moderate effect. However, setting your strength score at 26 is definitely the equivalent of a major effect in my mind. That is 6 past normal ability for anyone, except for a level 20 barbarian. Okay, so that is an example of the mechanical benefits that you can get from one of these items. They have all of the stats for all of the Vestiges of Durance online. There's a whole set of them from Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, which is actually an official Wizards of the Coast published book. So if you are really looking for more examples of it and want to check out more of the Critical Role ones, you can find those online or in that book. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Definitely let me know if you work any Weapons of Legacy or anything like that into your games, because I think they are one of the coolest concepts for Magic items out there. I am a huge fan of them. But like I said, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for making me part of your morning routine. I really appreciate it. We did not hit that 200 mark, but that's okay. It'll come out sooner rather than later, more than likely, as a podcast. Thank you to all of you guys who did subscribe. I really appreciate it. And again, if you know anybody else that would like this show, go ahead and send me their way, or send them my way. Either way works. And I will happily continue to make this show. Thank you so much to my patrons, especially because you guys are the ones that make this show happen. If you are able to support the show, the Patreon link is in the description of this video. But I will see you guys at the beginning of next week. And until then, keep on rolling.